guess what, guys? It's Halloween. It's Halloween! It's Halloween. Didn't go the way I wanted it to. Wrong setting. All right. Welcome, guys. Welcome to another episode of Fight Briefing UFC 244, and happy Halloween to all of you guys. Speaking of Halloween, not really like Halloween themed, but definitely Halloween colors. I got Ann H's hat done.
Wonderful.
There you go, Ann H. It's going to be on its way to you soon. All right, guys. How's your Halloween going? Welcome to another episode of Fight Briefing. I've got all my Halloween. There's going to be a little Halloween like scavenger hunt throughout the entire show, and on the show tonight for PFL, we have a whole bunch of different things that you guys can, see. Anyways, UFC 244, guys, this weekend sees the UFC return to New York City, MSG, where we will be tomorrow with the UFC 244 card. The main event, assuming that it goes ahead, more on that because, we know Nate Diaz's little issue. We should see a UFC quote-unquote champion, BMF champion, not really champion, but kind of a champion crowned. I guess if you want to call it that. Now, the main eventing the show we already know is Nate Diaz versus Jorge Masvidal. For the co-main event for this show, guys, we have Darren Till and Kelvin Gastelum. And I know a lot of people were worried about Darren Till not being able to show up for visa issues. I'm like doing two things at once. I just can't handle it. There was a lot of concern about Darren Till not being able to show up due to visa issues. So far, I haven't really heard much about that. So as far as I'm concerned, and as far as some others are concerned, Darren Till is doing just fine, and he will show up on time. And, he's there now, Tommy? Thank you. So, yeah, no worries. I know Moss was a little worried about whether or not it was going to affect his performance when the fight comes around, but I personally don't think so. He needs this win, so he'd be kind of stupid not to be ready. So let's get into it, guys. First, let's go through the entire main card. That's what we're here for. We're going to go over the main card of UFC 244, get picks, predictions, your guys' picks and predictions. Let's play a quick game of Fortnite, JBH. Maybe after fight briefing. We'll see. Cayman Insider says visa issues wouldn't be a problem if Till used a MasterCard. Andre says UFC shits on visas. All fighters get a pass. At least all good fighters get a visa. Visa takes you everywhere. Says 2 joints. I hope Daryl makes it to NYC. Says happy. You mean Darren? All right, guys, let's take a look at the main card of UFC 244. The first night, kicking off the main card is Kevin Lee versus Gregor Gillespie. I mean, this whole main card is freaking awesome, so I don't have to say I'm excited for every single fight. You guys already know. I'm excited for every fucking fight on this card. Kevin Lee versus Gregor Gillespie is going to be a hell of a fight. I'll talk about that one first. Next up, we have Derrick Lewis versus Blagoy Ivanov, also a heavy hitter fight. Stephen Thompson versus Vicente Luque. Stephen Thompson finally finding himself back in the octagon after a knockout loss to Anthony Pettis. Our co-main event, Kelvin Gastelum versus Darren Till. Like I said, still on. Main event, Jorge Masvidal versus Nate Diaz. So what I'm going to do is just get right freaking into it. Because why wait, right? Oh, who's this? Who's this, Maze? Get out of there. I didn't invite you. All right. Kevin Lee versus Gregor Gillespie. The first fight on the main card. Now, Kevin Lee is 17-5-0. His last fight was in May of 2019. And he did take a loss to RDA by arm triangle choke, I believe it was. Kevin Lee, guys, can someone get me into the game? Like, I don't know what's going on. Like, my mind is in a million different places, and I'm not as focused today. I don't know. Usually I'll just, jump right into it, and let's go. I don't know what's going on today. I'm kind of off. All right. Kevin Lee is back at lightweight. and will be looking to get himself back into the winning column against Gregor Gillespie. The loss to Dos Anjos that I had just previously mentioned back in May came after unanimous decision defeat to Ally Aquinta, a fight we also got to react to back in December, and that one kind of threw a little bit of the Kevin Lee fans off their game, I think, because a lot of people wanted to see Kevin Lee come back off of a couple of losses there, and Ally Aquinta just kind of destroyed him in that fight. So for me, this comes down to whether or not Lee can stop a takedown. We both know that Gregor Gillespie and Kevin Lee are both great on the ground, but to me, I think Kevin Lee is a more superior striker. I think I would give Gillespie a little bit more of the odds on the ground than I would give, but I do worry about Kevin Lee's cardio. And I do worry about his defense on the ground against someone like Gillespie. Even though I think that he is a little bit more superior, I think that if he gasses out, which Gregor's really good at doing with his opponents, then Kevin Lee could have a little bit of a weakness there. Now, with Kevin Lee's elite level experience, with his athleticism, his willingness to exchange on the feet, I think he certainly does have some tools to give Gillespie some problems, but I'm just not entirely sure where that's going to go. Now, Gillespie is currently on 13-0-0. He's an undefeated fighter, this guy. He is unbeaten in 13 fights. Can you believe that? As a pro, this guy's never been beaten, but I don't understand why he doesn't have a bigger name than he does now. I think he deserves a bigger name. The guy's never been beaten, and he just keeps rising in the ranks, but he's so fucking quiet that it's almost impossible to kind of have that name in your mind when you're thinking of contenders, right? Now, he is a highly decorated NCAA Division I wrestler, which is incredible for him against someone like Kevin Lee. He is excellent with all of MMA. He's very well-rounded. Unsurprisingly, though, Gillespie's game is based on his phenomenal wrestling, like I had just mentioned. So that's something that I think this whole fight is really going to try and go to the ground on both ends, but Kevin Lee would be smart to keep it on his feet because he is a little bit more superior to Gillespie in that area. Now, Gillespie is aggressive, and I would actually argue that he's probably a bit reckless as well on the feet, which is why I would also give that to Lee. But we have seen a little of his striking in the UFC. I'm worried that we haven't really seen enough of his striking in the UFC. He does his best work when he's got his opponents in a grasp. When he puts his opponents in a clinch, and when he's on the ground, he does his best work. If his opponent escapes from him, from his grasp or anything like that, then he basically continues on to suffocate his opponent until they just run out of steam, and then Gillespie takes that win there by a finish. So either way, I think Gillespie's really going to have, a little bit of an advantage here when it comes to cardio and pressure. So bottom line for this fight, guys, I think since I said Gillespie's pretty relentless here, I think he's going to hunt for that takedown, something that, can sort of sap any opponent's cardio, really, but mostly Kevin Lee, because Kevin Lee's cardio we've seen can be a little bit of a problem. Given Lee's cardio issues at 170 pounds and 155 pounds, both weight divisions, we've seen some cardio issues from Kevin Lee. I am leaning a little towards the gift here. Now, he may face a little bit of adversity in this fight early on, but I think eventually I think he's going to force Lee to really succumb to his pace and sort of take a decision in somewhat of an upset. So I'm going to go with Gillespie, and it's going to be by finish, of course. This is an undefeated fighter, and he's a great finisher, so I'm going to say Gillespie by finish. Let me know who you guys have in the chat, Gregor Gillespie or Kevin Lee. Two Joints says, drunk, that child is stuck in time, bro. What child are you talking about? Pete Ophelia says, GGG beats GG. Canelo, Alvarez, Triple G. I think we're reacting to boxing as well in the night. Came aside says, JBH, please console the giant crying baby behind you. I think you're on here. JBH says, Roberto. MacV says, if Gregor wins, McGregor should return to fight Gregor. Flat Earth Deacon says, GG, Two Joints, GG, Drunk Savage Gregor's second round submission. Happy says, I will go for the man with more hair. Two Joints says, the baby on the couch, JBH. I know, Moss didn't put that one away. I'm well aware. But thank you. I will make sure to put that away before the next stream so you guys don't get distracted by the crying baby. Because who needs distractions around here, right? All right. I think Lee will win by bullshit decision. Flutter says, I was going to say that drunk savage. I agree. Gregor won't submit Lee, says Roberto Lopez. All right, guys, I'm just going to move this around real quick because it's kind of driving me nuts. So just bear with me. You guys want to play? You want to? Oh, wrong one. Oh, yeah, I'll do that one. Moving around some boxes on the screen here so I can see the chat room and also talk about the fights. And then I'll be able to scroll when we go to the next fight here on the card. Derrick Lewis versus Blagoy Ivanov.
Wonderful.
All right, guys. Thank you for bearing with me as I moved some things around. What I thought was going to work before the stream started, turns out didn't actually work. So now I have it to where things will work. All right. By the way, Oop Hoofle. So Nate R sent in some stuff for the Halloween Village last night. So we will, Moss is actually editing a video right now for me, because I dropped the ball. So he's editing a video right now, and then we'll have it shown for PFL tonight. So join us tonight. All right. Derrick Lewis versus Blagoy Ivanov. Derrick Lewis is currently 21-7-0. Now, Lewis has had a wild mix of basically everything in his time in the UFC. He's an odd fighter in that he looks absolutely terrible at times, and yet he has incredible power in his punches that he's literally only ever won moment away from finding that knockout when he's not doing well in a fight. So, take his fight with Alexander Volkov, for instance. Lewis was being destroyed basically after 15 minutes straight until he unleashed a completely vicious right hand and finished Volkov soon after. He took, I think, Travis Brown. He was losing pretty badly as well. And Shamil Abdurakhimov, he was losing badly. Before both of those, he somehow found some sort of big shot to pull off a win. So this is why I don't get really discouraged when I see Derrick Lewis not doing so well in the beginning of a fight or even for the length of a fight. We've seen it time and time again where Derrick Lewis is off to a really horrible start. He just looks absolutely terrible out there and somehow still manages to pull off that win. So I can't really sleep on the guy. Now he's facing a heavy hitter in Blagoy Ivanov. Ivanov is 18-2-0, all right? Now Ivanov has ways to win this fight as well, and that's what Derrick has to be careful of because this is someone who's going to come in and he's not going to start off slow. I have a feeling Ivanov's going to come in, swing. Maybe not swing for the fences, but he's definitely going to get some good shots in there in the beginning. And if Derrick Lewis isn't careful when it comes to him losing that beginning part of a fight, I think that could be a kryptonite for Derrick Lewis when it comes to Ivanov. Now, Lewis is not a good fighter from his back, and Ivanov can definitely wrestle. Even if he hasn't really shown it in his UFC career, we know that he can wrestle. He's also powerful enough to hurt Lewis while standing on the feet. So these are two things that Derrick Lewis is going to have to be careful of. And the reason that this is extremely dangerous for Lewis is because both of them are in two completely different areas. One's on the feet, one's on the ground. That means Derrick Lewis is facing someone who's arguably more well-rounded than him. Now, having said that, Lewis has made a career of beating guys like this in strange ways, and even though he hasn't been winning recently, it's still tricky to sort of pick against him. So I think bottom line for this fight, I'm going with a typical Lewis fight here. Ivanov will probably have a lot of success early on, as I mentioned. He's probably going to appear to be beating Lewis up with body shots and maybe even a couple of takedowns. But in the end, I think the Black Beast will land a huge shot and perhaps seal the deal soon after against Ivanov. So my pick is Derrick Lewis for the win. Let me know who you guys have in the chat, Derrick Lewis or Blagoy Ivanov. Nick C says, yo, at work watching anyway. Yeah, man, sorry. We had to do an early stream, so there's probably not going to be as many viewers today because we got to do PFL tonight. So usually I go live at 8 Eastern time, 8 p.m., but tonight we have to do it very, very early so that we have time for the stream to process so we can go live for the PFL fight reaction. Pedophilia says, I broke my screen trying to kill that spider, JBH. Oh, no. Drunk Savage says, Black Beast, yo. Nick C, flat 2. Flat Earth says, BB. Happy says, I think I could. He a slow Baba? Tommy Arnold, Nightbot likes the F word. LOL, fook off, Nightbot. Fodder says, Nick, fist pump 2 joints. Nick, bro, showered perfume, well-sculpted women airline stewardesses are sexy. Drunk savage, you guys going to the PFL card or doing the full PFL card? I don't know. That's a good question. I'll have to ask Miles about that. I don't know. Drop the ones in the chat if you think we should do the full PFL card. What time does the prelim start? I don't even know what time the card is. That's a good fucking question. I don't know. I'll let you guys know. Tommy Arnold says that spider did make me jump. Damn, I was stoned. Nixie says drunk. James Fulton says, what up, Holes? What up, James? Eduardo says, Black Beast and the gift. All right, Black Beast and the gift. So you're with me on these. You're with me on the first 2 picks. So let's move on to the next fight of the main card. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson versus Vicente Luque. Now, I'm actually excited for this fight for a couple of reasons. Stephen Thompson's coming back, and last time we saw Stephen Thompson fight, unfortunately, it was a knockout loss. It was the first time that Stephen Thompson has ever been knocked out in his UFC career, which makes me worry a little bit. But nonetheless, he's coming back into the cage, and he's fighting actually a pretty heavy hitter in Vicente Luque. So let's talk about Thompson for a minute. Thompson is 14-4-1. He had that 1-0 contest on his record. The shine that was once on Wonderboy is now gone thanks to Tyrone Woodley and Darren Till and Pettis. But he's still, a pinpoint accurate striker. I've said this before. I've compared him to Israel Adesanya when Adesanya was going to be doing his Whitaker fight, about pinpoint strikers, and the only 2 that I can really see as the top tier pinpoint strikers would be Adesanya and Stephen Thompson. So he still has that ability to pick apart his opponents. For instance, take Jorge Masvidal. When he fought him, he was able to pick him apart and give him a lot of problems. And in fact, he's given a lot of problems to pretty much every opponent that he's faced. So, but in his last fight, Thompson did get knocked out by Anthony Pettis, as I mentioned, by a Superman punch. And that's a little worrying to me because Thompson is usually pretty good with his head movement and his footwork. In fact, I think he's probably one of the better. So to see that was a little off-putting. And anytime you see a fighter get knocked out and then return later on, it does make you worry a little bit. Like, is this going to be the same fighter that we remember? Is it going to be the same Wonder Boy that's been in the cage before he got knocked out? Or is he going to be a little more cautious in his fighting style? Is he going to perhaps run or become a little more scared in his fighting style? And that's something that we should definitely pay attention to. Now, I feel that no matter what, it's not just a Wonder Boy thing. I think it's all fighters. I think in the fight game, it can really affect the way any fighter comes back. That, like I said, was the first time Thompson's ever been knocked out in his career. So that's just something we're going to have to look out for. Nonetheless, I think he's an extremely well-rounded fighter. He's great. I worry, though, because he's good with his takedown defense, but not so good on the ground. So as long as he can keep his opponent from taking him to the ground, he's great. But if his opponent does find a way to get that advantage, then he's in a little bit of trouble. Now, Vicente Luque is actually pretty good on the ground. Luque is 17-6-1. Now, I am giving Luque a chance here for a number of reasons. Firstly, while Thompson has proven tricky to take down, like I mentioned, during his UFC career, Woodley showed that if you can get him down, he doesn't exactly have a lot from his back. We saw that in the Woodley fight. Woodley managed to get Thompson onto his back, and he was mauled. He was just mauled. So, now granted, Luque obviously isn't, one of the most ruthless fighters. Not one of the most ruthless. He isn't being close to being as close to being a good wrestler as Thompson. But he's certainly excellent from the top, particularly, with his chokes and stuff like that. So I would give that to Luque. I would give the advantage there to Luque. And not only does Luque have power, going back to what I had previously mentioned, he is one of the most ruthless fighters in MMA. Not he isn't. He is one of the most ruthless finishers in MMA today. Of his 10 UFC wins, only one of them has gone the distance. He's finished all the rest of his fights. And that fight with Mike Perry could have ended on numerous occasions had Perry not been as tough as he was. And that was the only one that ended up going the decision. So bottom line for this fight, I think if he puts Thompson down as Till or Woodley did, then this fight is most likely going to be closed out very quickly. I think Luque has just got that win in his hands. At nearly 10 years younger than Thompson and a whole lot hungrier, in my opinion, I think he has an excellent shot at taking the win. So let me know who you guys have. Thompson or Vicente Luque? Steve Thompson every day. Van Shipman says, I do good work from top, back, and bottom. Funny, I heard Wonderboy is a bottom. Yes, sir. Josh Stern says, Thompson on the climb down and has no chin. That's what a lot of people are arguing, my man. James Fulton says, reach advantage. Andre Villafranca says, I want Luke to win. Gonna risk it and say he wins via KO in round 2. Social Vash says, Wonder Bread needs a good win. Bad, I see him getting it done. Junk Savage, Luque. Kenny Kappa, Luque will catch Wonderboy bouncing inside. MacV, Wonderboy will do what he always does by picking and landing good shots from a distance. Wonderboy will have good defense and is slick unlike Perry. And Luque Lewis has been working on that porn star. Roberto Lopez says Wonderboy is too good for him from the outside.
Wonderful.
2 joints. Michael Landon chose Wonderboy to be in 7th heaven. Whatever that means, man. Whatever that means. All right, guys, let's move on to the next fight. Your co-main event of the evening. I don't like these 2:30 streams, man. Not in it, you know. It's like, you know, like, I'm not fully here. I'm distracted. I got a million things going on. Like, this is my work brain. I'm not in stream brain yet. Stream brain is nighttime. Like, nighttime brain is stream brain. Work brain is daytime brain. So right now I'm in work brain, and I can't. I just gotta. All right, let's move on. Look at the big head next to me. Tickle, tickle, tickle. Kelvin Gastelum versus Darren Till is the co-main event of the evening, my friends. How many of you guys are excited for this one? Drop the ones in the chat if you're excited for Kelvin Gastelum versus Darren Till as your co-main event. Or do you think it should have been Kelvin Gastelum versus Jared Cannonier? Now, Gastelum is currently 16-4-0, and like I had mentioned, Darren Till was having some visa issues, and they had Jared Cannonier on standby. And it's funny because Kelvin Gastelum, we covered last night, said that it wouldn't be fair to him if Gastelum had to fight Cannonier. He said that he prepared for Darren Till, and he's right. Cannonier is a completely different fight than what Darren Till would give him. So I agree that it would be a little unfair, and Gastelum does have the right to pull out, but I don't think he would, since, you know, this is Gastelum's chance to kind of get back into that win column after fighting Adesanya. Now, Gastelum is surprisingly quick at 185 pounds. He hits remarkably hard, and as we've seen in his last couple of fights, Till's chin isn't the sturdiest. So Gastelum appears to be made of fucking stone with his chin. The one time I saw a little bit more weakness is when he fought Adesanya. Adesanya managed to knock him down a few times, but never knocked him out. He dragged Adesanya to the scorecards on that fight. It was the interim UFC middleweight championship fight, and he only lost by unanimous decision. So prior to that loss, Gastelum beat Jacare Souza, a fucking dangerous opponent for a lot of fighters on the cards, and ended Michael Bisping's career with a spectacular one-punch KO, which was fucking amazing to see. Gastelum has heavy hands, and he has an incredible takedown style. We got to see a lot of that when he was going after Adesanya. So I think it's going to be extremely, extremely dangerous for Darren Till. Extremely. Now, here's where I give Darren Till the edge. Before you guys are like, oh, she likes Till, blah, blah, blah. I'm fully aware that Kelvin Gastelum is the more dangerous opponent in this fight. Fully. But I have to give Till some edge here because we don't know what he's like in this weight class. Now, Darren Till is 17-2-1. And for me, this largely comes down to how well Till's body is going to adjust to 185 pounds. We don't know. He's certainly got the frame to be a middleweight. He's 6 foot. He's got a 74.5-inch reach. And while we haven't really seen him face a powerful wrestler yet outside of Woodley, like Gastelum, who Woodley knocked him down, rather than took him down. His takedown defense has looked pretty freaking solid to me thus far. And also, he's a tremendous pressure striker, which could put him in a positive or in an advantage in this weight class. Till's style is based almost purely on pressure. His best performances, we've seen him use footwork to corral his opponent and, against the fence, where he tends to sort of hit them with powerful combinations and usually ending with that nasty left of his. He's also adept at like clinch striking, particularly with his elbows. So I think there's a lot of tools that Darren Till can use here in a weight class he's never been at, where I think the weight is going to be a little bit more of an advantage for him.
You can't stop the Siberian Express.
What happened, Connor? You disappeared. Hold on.
You can't stop the Siberian Express.
Choo-choo, motherfuckers. Connor Hernandez.
I called it in the Fortnite stream. Flex biceps. Till for the win, baby. Hope you all are having a wonderful, wonderful day. Prayer for those at work and folded hands. Thank you, Maholes, and everyone don't forget. Fuke Paulo Costa.
Fuke Paulo Costa. That's right, Connor. Did you called Till for the win? Interesting. I must have missed that. Or maybe it didn't and I just don't remember. Either way, I agree with you. Because bottom line for this fight, guys, I think against Gastelum, it feels like his key to victory is pretty simple when it comes to Darren Till. He needs to avoid Gastelum's takedowns. He needs to walk him down, and he needs to trap him against the fence before hitting him with extremely heavy hands. And that is going to be the key to his win. And I really feel that at this weight class, we're going to see a little bit more of an advantage here for Till than we have seen prior in the weight class below. So it might not surprise you, but I'm going to go with Darren Till for the win here. And I think it's going to be by decision. I don't think he's going to knock out Gastelum because Gastelum has a nasty chin. And if he does, I will have an Adesanya reaction. I will have a fucking... If Till knocks out Gastelum, yeah, the way I reacted to Adesanya, I think I would fucking... I'd pass out. There would never be an Adesanya. I'd just faint. Like, I don't expect it. Gastelum has the best fucking chin. But I do see him kind of working his way to a decision here. So I'm going to go with Till for the win. Surprise!
Wonderful.
All right, guys, let me know who you guys have in the chat. Darren Till or Kelvin Gastelum. Josh Stern says, true, but for this fight with that glass chin, Till isn't deep shit. Maybe you're right. Like I said, Gastelum is the more dangerous opponent here. So I could very well be wrong on this fight. And I wouldn't be surprised if I was. But I can't leave my boy. Ethiopian says Darren Till. Justin Jr. Kelvin. Ron Hatfield Kelvin. Eric Rosa says no. Oh, I'm really rooting for Till now, says Drunk Savage. Eric Rosa says Gastelum by KO. James Fulton Kelvin. Eduardo Romero says Costa, Till, Izzy, T-City, and JBH. Dream Night? Nah, not Costa. Not Costa. Flat Earth Deacon says Till will get slept early. Steve Thompson says KG by decision. Begrudgingly. Smell my fingers says Cayman Cider. Avery Yeppa says Gastelum's gonna smash your boy. Maybe he will. Or maybe he won't. Drunk Savage says, my Cyclops did it. No Cayman. James Fulton says, Kelvin seems so relaxed fight week. Till seems pressured. Of course he's pressured. He's had a lot of issues getting into the country. And then you got to think, coming into the country a day or two before the fight, of course there's a lot of pressure because I don't think he's going to have as many issues with his weight. But now he has to make sure that he's well adapted to his environment, to the air. Air is different everywhere you go. And any fighter will tell you that changes the way that you perform. So I think there's a lot that he has to become adapted to before he's ready to go. So, of course, Darren Till is going to be far more pressured. He probably doesn't even want to talk to any media today. He probably just wants to focus on what he needs to do to get the job done. And he'd be smart to do that because he's not in a good situation right now. And especially against an opponent like this, this is not some like can that they're throwing at. This is a fucking dangerous opponent they're throwing at him. So who knows? All right, guys, let's move on to the main event of the evening. Your BMF title contention. Nate Diaz versus Jorge Masvidal. Are you ready? Are you ready to see the BMF title belt handed out to the baddest motherfucker of the UFC? Let me know in the chat. Diaz by submission late in round 4, says Van Chitman, Drunk Savage 209, Battle of the Luque says Steve Thompson, Friday taking 209, third submission, win, James Fulton, 209, bitches, let's go, although I love Game Bread too, mad respect. Pedophilia, she's staring at Masvidal, flatter speaking, Connor gets the wiener. James Fulton says 2-0-G, flatter speaking, winner, or wiener. Steve Thompson, Jorge by brutal, 5-round beatdown, 312 asshole, says Roberto Lopez, Andre Villafranca says Masvidal, easiest pick to be honest. Nate Diaz and Jorge Masvidal for the BMF belt.
Wonderful, wonderful.
It's exciting, man. Makes me so excited, so pumped for the fight. Jorge Masvidal, 34-13-0. Nate Diaz, 20-11-0. Masvidal, most recently, has been running through his opponents in violent fashion. Darren Till knocked him down early on, only for Masvidal to work out of his range and knocked Till out with violent combinations. Now, against Askren, Masvidal read the game perfectly and timed a flying knee to knock out Askren 5 seconds into the first round as he dived for a takedown in the opening seconds of the fight. Now, Masvidal is tough as nails. We all know this. He will be focused on keeping the fight on the feet against Nate Diaz, in my opinion. Masvidal doesn't really have a weakness in this particular game in terms of his skills. He's probably best as a boxer, but he's got a highly underrated ground game, and he is a decent wrestler too. That a lot of people think Nate Diaz, because Nate Diaz has the most submission wins in UFC history, which I agree that could help Nate Diaz in this fight. But don't underestimate Jorge Masvidal on the ground is all I'm saying. Do I think he's going to be better than Nate Diaz? I don't know. I just think he's really going to put up a hell of a fight, even if it gets taken to the ground. So let's talk about Diaz. As for Diaz, everyone knows about his game at this point. Essentially, he's a double-edged sword for a lot of opponents. His boxing is second to none in the welterweight division, and he is one of the most dangerous grapplers in the division when it comes to submissions too. As I just mentioned, most submissions in UFC history. Now, outside of that, he can be beaten by fighters who aren't willing to play his game. And I don't think Masvidal is going to be willing to play his game. That usually means either wrestling him, using takedowns, and heavy top control to hold him on his back and sort of beat him up using ground and pound, or by using range kickboxing games, which is based around low kicks to pick him apart from the outside. And that's the one that I think Jorge Masvidal is going to go for. Now, that's obviously risky due to Diaz's long 76-inch reach. But there were fighters like Josh Thompson and Rafael dos Anjos, and to a lesser extent, Conor McGregor, who all pulled it off. So I have no doubt that Jorge Masvidal has the opportunity to pull it off in this fight. I have been waiting to give you guys my pick all fucking week. Everyone's been asking me, even during the gaming streams, who do you have, who do you have, who do you have? And I wanted to tell you so fucking bad, because this is the kind of fight that could ultimately go either way. There is no one better than the other. This is that type of fight where it's like, fuck, that you're pulling your luck here. That's it. You got to throw your luck out there and hope that the luck leans your way. So bottom line for this fight, if Masvidal is willing to fight smart and have the skills to do so, Diaz can be extremely beatable. Now, Diaz has a lot of advantages here in this fight against Masvidal. Masvidal would obviously have to work the legs. I feel that although Masvidal has that reach disadvantage, that's really going to aid Diaz here, especially if Diaz can keep a range. I feel if Masvidal approaches this calmly and chooses to kick at Diaz's legs and mix in some takedowns, perhaps, I feel he could win. So, Jorge Masvidal for the win. Let me know who you guys have in the chat, Jorge Masvidal or Nate Diaz. Are you doing PFL stream tonight? Yes, Devontae, we will be live for PFL MMA. Join us tonight for live fight reaction. James Fulton says it's going to be a war. Eduardo Romero says you called it yesterday. You said Jorge. That's right, my man. Kainoda says Jorge has kept fighting, hasn't taken a break, unlike Diaz. Diaz is a bad mofo, but steel sharpens steel. Diaz might get brutalized. Drunk Savage says Diaz going gangsta on Saturday. I'm jealous of Masvidal's flowing hair, says Cayman Cider. Roberto says both are very durable. Nate will look for that late sub. Boo JBH says Drunk Savage. Flat Earth Deacon 209 in the third sub. Kenny Kappa, I am boxing, says Damian Maya. Bab Joseph 1. Diaz always football elite. Jorge for the win. Yeah, boy.
Yes, sir.
Clock says Drunk Savage, and fuck it, I'll go to Legends to see Luke. If MMA-Holes show up, they show up. That's right, Clocks. That's the attitude to have. You just go have fun. We'll figure out. We don't really have like a plan, right? We're gonna go there. We're gonna fuck with the crowd a little bit, but it's more fun when we're not scheduling shit. If we have to schedule a bunch of shit, it's not fun. Get right says Diaz got this. Kenny Kappa Nate got this. Roberto, nice pumpkin graphic. Thank you, Roberto. Devin Jackson says Jorge, Clock, Stephen Thompson. I have one in a row. Diaz by 5-round decision. Masvidal by knockout. All right, guys. Now you have it. You have all the picks for UFC 244, or all of JBH's picks. I got to hear all of it. Your guys' picks. Main event, we'll go through one more time. Jorge Masvidal for the win. Darren Till for the win. Vicente Luque for the win. Derrick Lewis for the win. Gregor Gillespie for the win. And that is it for your predictions for UFC 244, guys. I had fun talking to you guys for this latest episode of Fight Briefing. I can't wait to join you guys again next week for the next fight card. It will be at our regularly scheduled time, 8 p.m. Eastern time. We will be live tonight for PFL MMA, so join us live. We'll get the stream scheduled as soon as possible and go live for the PFL fights, and we'll be doing a live reaction there. We'll also be live tomorrow. Don't forget, if you are in the area of Madison Square Garden, if you are in NYC or somewhere you think you can get here, we're doing a meetup tomorrow at MSG. For the weigh-ins. We're going to be hitting up the crowd and kind of fucking around there. Our sign should be arriving today. And, yeah, join us live then. And then obviously join us on Saturday for UFC 244. We will be live for that, for the entire card. So join us live there. Monday, I'm getting my teeth pulled, my wisdom teeth. So I will have a fat face, and I probably will not be talking to you guys on Monday, but I'll be sitting on the back couch knitting or some shit. I'll still be here. All right, guys. Don't forget to join us later tonight. And as always, don't be an a-hole. Be an MMA hole.